So, hello, my name is Max, and today I want to talk a little bit about the modern media landscape. You might think to yourself, well, who am I and why am I talking about this? Well, I've been interested in media pretty much all my life. That's the reason why you're watching this video right now in standard 4x3, so standard NTSC. The reason is I'm a bit eccentric and I bought myself a old used TV camera, so the real deal, the real type of camera. This camera is quite old, that's why it only films really good in standard definition. It's even so old that it even just records in dB, but let's get back to the topic. And this topic is how I think the media landscape will change in the future and, well, how we are going to go about it. Just gonna lay my glasses right there. Okay, so in the last, the main thing I want to talk about is the commodification of producing media. Because back in the day, let's go back to 500 years ago, the Middle Ages. It was very different. Media wasn't something you created. Most people couldn't write, many couldn't read, and well, printing something or writing something, well, that was merely limited to people in academics, inside of churches, within the realm of the people who ruled the countries. That's something. They were the only ones who had access to paper and the stuff you actually need to write. Taking pictures wasn't invented even. And well, then at some point, well, cameras were invented. Cameras and ways to record audio. I do not want to get into the specifics and the history of how all this worked, but at some point it was possible. It was an analog process, something was recorded, an image was taken, and for many years something that was a picture was true. There was no real way to alter pictures, and pictures that were actually altered were more or less painted. You had to paint over whatever you wanted to change or wanted to delete, and yeah, it was obvious. So if a picture was obviously genuine, it was real. Many court cases, many cases of crime were solved this way, just by having a picture of it. A picture depicted the truth. And well, later, when we invented film, it was the same, because it's even harder. Yeah, film. Back in the day, film cameras were actually carrying a strip of film. Film was the same stuff as in standard pictures, and well, you just had a bunch of it, which made it even more complicated to fake it. It was merely impossible, to do it without it being obvious. You had to rotoscope it, you had to change it, you had to color over it. It was really hard to do, and especially with color film. And that's why what was on film, so if there was a picture of something, it was real. And if it was on film, well, it was obvious, it was the truth, yeah? And later, when actual video cameras were invented, that's something that I find quite funny today, is many people using the term for filming and taking a video as a synonym for each other. It's not the same. Taking a film or making a film is really just film. You take a strip of film, which is it reacts to light, and then it burns this image that was in front of the camera onto a physical piece of film. Well, taking a video is something quite different, because video, it's just an electronic waveform. Yeah, a video camera like the one I'm talking to right now, it just merely records a digital or analog signal of that sort, and it's not film. It's not burned into something. It's written onto something. Yeah, that's the difference. But let's get back. Originally, video couldn't even be really recorded. There was no possibility to record video. Just many years later, they eventually developed the video tape recorder, the VCR. And well, that was a real breakthrough in technology. Yeah, and well, what was on video was even more secure, because video, film, was something you could have in your hand. You could paint over it. Well, video was even more complicated, because well, it's just a signal. Yeah, it's just electronics. It's a digital or analog signal, and tampering with it was even more difficult. So for some time, so let's say from the 1900s to the 1980s, what was film, what was on a film camera, what was a Polaroid, which was a videotape recording of something, it was real. There was no real way to alter it, to fake it, to make it something different. Yeah, and well, then came the 1980s and the 1990s, image processing, and well, something called paint shop or in Photoshop was invented by Adobe brothers. I'm not blaming them. It was inevitable that something like this would have been created. It's natural, the urge to alter pictures, to change or to like solve mistakes that you did while taking the photo, getting some people out of the background that you didn't intend there to be. But of course it was misused, yeah, but it was still quite obvious and it was hard to do and it was like something too complicated for most people to do, so most people just ended up not doing it, yeah. There was no real easy way to do it. And well, now in the 2020s we are having a different problem, because with the time taking pictures, taking a video, making a video came down in complexity, yeah, because let's think back. The camera I'm talking to right now, it's quite old. It's from the early 2000s. It records maybe in HD, but it records much better in SD, to be honest. That's why I'm recording in SD right now. And well, the problem with all of this is, like, those cameras were huge. Taking a professional video that was like broadcastable, that stations actually wanted to broadcast, was really hard. The camera, when it was new, I think it cost more than 10,000 euros. Adjust that for inflation for today. It's crazy. But now with time, well, those prices have come down, and as soon as something becomes a commodity, like taking pictures, it's much more inevitable that it makes the possibility for it to be changed, yeah? And right now, some idiot on a motorcycle, right now, there are these problems that with AI, there is no barrier to entry anymore. Anyone can change or fake anything. There is no threshold to doing something anymore. If I wanted, I could fake an entire plane crash, yeah, just by saying to an AI, create me some picture of a Boeing 747 crashing into mountainside, like right behind me, and I got myself headline news that if they are not checked, if it looks real enough, well, I'm gonna give some people opinions on something. I could push an opinion on that Boeing planes are not safe. I could push an opinion on something else that I wanted, yeah? And those are the real problems of our time, and I think this is where I actually want to go with all of this, and that is how we should react to this and how we should keep media safe. Yeah, that's quite a problem. How do we ensure that the media we get, that what we receive, that what we see is actually real, that it's not altered? I'm not talking about framing, I'm talking about being altered. Yeah, the framing has always been different. Yeah, since the earliest times of television, going back to the 1950s, things have always been framed differently. Different stations frame different things differently. It's inevitable. Yeah, the same thing happens and people talk about it in different ways. That's normal. But what I'm talking about is things that were altered, that are different, that maybe didn't even happen. Yeah, up to this day it was quite hard to do this. But now, this video is from 2026. If you're watching it later, yeah, in 2026, AI, image generation, so artificial intelligence, hallucinating, making up images, videos, text, something has become so good that it's at the brink of being not noticeable. Like, the newest AI models currently are so good that that governments around the world are banning them for use for everyday citizens because they've become too good. They've become so good that it's threatening our legal system, that it's threatening our media, our news, our society. Yeah, that's the point where we are. That's also why I'm recording this in standard definition. This video isn't altered. I'm having 5 fingers on my hand. Yeah, not AI generated, even though that's not really a check anymore because AI has become so good that, well, it can also generate people with just 5 hands, with just 5 fingers. Yeah, that's not a problem anymore. But I just want to prove a point here. Yeah, today things have become such a commodity that people with AI can do literally anything. Yeah, like, what can't be changed with AI? Back in the day, voice recording was real. There was no way to fake a voice. Nowadays, it's the most basic thing you can do with AI. AI voice cloning is everywhere. I can look up some website on my small black rectangle here without even a wired connection to anything and clone the voice of anybody in the world. Yeah. with AI, I can create a picture of anything. I don't even have to pay anything. Yeah, there are free trials everywhere from every company that wants to get your money at some point. All of this AI bubble hasn't been figured out yet. Yeah, the entire global economy is running a gigantic deficit on AI just because they hope that at some point it will be profitable. Let's see how this goes. I have the suspicion that all of this is quite bubble, but let's see how it goes. And well, there are also different things. Like, okay, voices can be cloned, so audio is not safe anymore. Pictures can be created. Well, AI can also now do videos quite well. Well, what's there left? Audio is making up radio. And images, well, it's making up newspapers. And video, well, it's making up television. And that's everything. What we have on our smartphones is nothing different. It's the same. Audio, images, and videos. There is no new thing. And if there were, well, AI could also do it, because who wouldn't train their AI to do something that's new as well? Yeah, why stop at some point? Yeah, there's no intent. There's nothing stopping people from creating something new, creating something different that can do new things. Yeah, that's quite obvious. And well, how do we go about this anymore? Well, I think we're having the problem that everything can be changed and nobody knows. Yeah. If you are getting your news, your opinions mainly from social media, well, you've lost. Yeah, the algorithm is filtering out what you get to see. Yeah, because how would you prove that you have seen something that others might not have seen, or the other way around? Let's say I follow some page on Instagram. Yeah, some news outlet. I think I saw everything, but what if the algorithm just hid 3 posts from me that didn't fit my opinion? The algorithm's highest purpose is keeping me on the app. If I see something that I dislike, well, maybe I'm gonna lay the phone away. I'm not gonna watch the next ad. Well, the algorithm doesn't want that. The algorithm wants that I scroll further, see more ads, and see more things that interest me, actually, that don't oppose my opinion. Yeah, but that's important. That's important for every society. We need things that oppose our opinion. Yeah, I do not want to live in a bubble. Nobody should live in a bubble. I think that's natural for everybody, but some people don't really seem to get it anymore. Yeah, and that's the problem, because like, what do we do with this? Yeah, how can I prove that I saw everything? I can't prove this on social media. The algorithm could be hiding 2/3 of everything. And well, if I'm not cross-checking with somebody that's more or less the opposite opinion of me, I'm never gonna find out. And how likely is it that I'm gonna sit down with somebody that has the opposite opinion of what I have, and well, get to talk about their algorithm and what this hides from me? Well, this ain't gonna happen, yeah? And that's quite important to think about. And well, I think there is whole different discussion. I think there is no modern. Like this whole invention of something being modern. What is modern? I think there are technologies that are fitting a purpose, that are solving a problem at a specific time, and there are technologies that don't fit that purpose. I've heard so many people say that radio is dead. No, radio isn't dead, and it's not gonna go away. Maybe it's getting smaller, but there is always this use case for something audio, something running in the background, at least while you're driving or going to work. If it's not radio, it's something similar, like people listening to podcasts on their phone. It's literally radio. Yeah, it's just a different way. Instead of having radio towers linearly transmitting audio via frequency modulation to your phone, it's just taking things, coding it digitally and broadcasting it not via a huge radio tower, but via cell phone towers to your phone, and your phone decoding it as well. Your phone is a radio. It's nothing different. It's the same. Yeah, and well, there's only one difference. There's one difference I want to talk about. There are linear media and non-linear media. I think the important thing is we are going to get back to linear media. AI is turning the entire news space on its head, and algorithms as well, because as I said, you can't be sure that you saw everything. You can't be sure that your algorithm didn't lie to you. Maybe not even with the intent of like changing your opinion or your mindset, but just with the goal of keeping you on the app. Most companies, even like Meta or something, they aren't intrinsically politically. they just want to make money with any mean possible. Yeah, and well, that's natural. Anybody wants to make money any way possible. It's the purpose of every company. But well, how do we keep this natural intent of a company from destroying our society, destroying our civilization, our whole country because of this? Because it's a real problem. It's a huge problem. Yeah, and I think we have to go back to linear media. Why? Not because I'm nostalgic for radio, for television, for anything. Yeah, I'm not nostalgic for those things. I hated commercial breaks. You couldn't skip them. They went on for ages. You had limited selection. You couldn't watch what you wanted to see when you wanted to see. I don't think that this will come back for general purpose programming, like watching music, documentaries, those things. Yeah, but I think linear media needs to come back for news, radio, and on TV, because I think those are the only sources. And I don't mean yet now on like you watching it on your phone or your computer. I literally mean over-the-air broadcasting, because it is the only secure way of like transmitting something. Yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about, because today we teach everybody, our grandparents, anybody, yeah, how to spot AI. Yeah, what is AI? What looks like it's AI generated? What's not AI generated? How to spot it? Yeah, there are problems with the hands and anything. Yeah, but the problem is this isn't gonna work anymore. Yeah, everybody, any company, everyone working in AI and on AI is training their AI to becoming so good that you can't spot it. That's the goal. That's the entire goal of this entire operation. AI development will only stop, or at least slow down a little bit, if they've reached it. When AI images are so good that you can't keep them apart from real images, like you get good hands, you get fluid movements, you get real text, you get like all of this. Well, AI improvement is not gonna stop there, or at least it's gonna slow down a little bit, because well, it's reached photorealism. But at this point, well, we are screwed completely. Well, why? Because we can't like keep it apart anymore. AI is there and we can't spot it anymore. We can't see it anymore and we can't prove it anymore. And that's a real problem. And well, how do we deal with this? Well, if we can't spot it easily anymore, what's keeping it from getting somewhere? Well, we need to create like sources of truth, more or less, or a system of at least confirming truth. I don't want to put this in a way like of Orwell, where there's a department of truth and well, there's an agency deciding on what is true and what is not. I don't think that this is gonna happen. I just think we need to keep track of where we got things from. Like, let's say this camera, yeah? I think in the future, news outlets, like your national broadcaster, like CBS, like ABC, like NBC in the US, like the BBC in the UK, like ABC in Australia, or whatever is down there in New Zealand or wherever in the world, they can't just take any media anymore. They can't just take cell phone footage from anybody, mailing it to them or from somewhere. That's history. You can't take this stuff anymore. You can't put it on TV, on the radio anymore. You can just take what you noticed and record it yourself. I think in the future, like TV stations and everybody of them, there will be a group of TV stations. Maybe they make an association or something, and they say, we trust each other. Like, I'm trying to stick to the truth, you are trying to stick to the truth. Okay, now we are two, and we got another friend that's also trying to be non-influenced by AI. Okay, and well, we got cameramen having cameras like this one and going out there and recording on media. Yeah, this camera records on Panasonic P2 HD cards. I think you've never heard of them. Yeah, that's how obscure they are. And well, all of these things are like what we have to deal with now. Yeah, because only if I can really confirm that what I broadcast is real, and I can only confirm it by like recording it myself. I have to have camera teams going out there recording whatever is happening themselves, having it written down on media cards, which travel. So it's taken out of the camera, it's put into an envelope, it's transported somehow to where it's being put into the television stream or into the radio signal. And well, that's how we need to prove something in the future. There is no other way around it, because we cannot ensure that something is not AI generated anymore any other way. We can just prove that it's real by recording it yourself or have it recorded by somebody that you really trust, yeah, on some level, and then, well, handle it in turn, encrypted, secured in some way, shape or form. And well, now the media has real images. Okay, how do they get to your home? I think you can't trust algorithms. As I said, the algorithm has another intent than showing you the truth. The algorithm's intent is keeping you on the app. And well, if things are broadcasted or if things are put onto this platform by the media outlet you want to follow, and the algorithm thinks it opposes your opinion, then well, you're not gonna see it. Yeah? How can we avoid this? Well, we can only avoid this if we have linear media, linear radio, or so over-the-air radio and over-the-air television. Why? Because it can't be interrupted. The algorithm, there is no algorithm. The algorithm is what the broadcaster chooses you to watch, chooses you to listen to. And well, if there was an algorithm, or if they wanted to cut something out, it wouldn't work, because you get silence, you get a black picture or a blank screen. Yeah, linear broadcasting, you notice when something's missing. They can't put together a stream for everybody. Yeah, everybody tuning into the same frequency is gonna get the same signal, no matter what their opinion is, without an algorithm. Yeah, I think this will become necessary, at least for news in the future. Yeah, for how people consume their news, because I think platforms with algorithms, they aren't the future, and well, the whole influence of AI, and that's something I want to talk about as well, because not only the algorithm is working against you, but also the entire system of the internet is also working against you. Because well, what you receive on your phone, the internet isn't some magical box. Everything on the internet is broken down into tiny chunks that are then transmitted as packets, IP packages of some size, and they are transmitted through the internet to your phone on request. Yeah, that's why it's called video on demand. It's not broadcasting, it's not pushing it out like a standard TV broadcast at any time, even if nobody watches. TV is broadcasted over the air. Yeah, but this would be too expensive for the internet. So what do? Well, they say just push it out to somebody if they ask for that. If they ask for it, well, they are doing that. Your phone requests something, and the tower and the server and the entire network and service thing, it broadcasts those things to you. But there's a problem. Who says that these packages aren't altered? We haven't seen it on a large scale, but anything is possible. Let's imagine a man-in-the-middle attack. A newscaster or somebody making news, some production company makes news, pushes them as a live stream onto their website. Who is saying that what you receive on your device was what the newscaster actually broadcasted into the signal, into the system? What if there is a man-in-the-middle attack? What if there is another kind of attack that we don't really know about today? I'm not the best guy in computer networks, but I know enough that those things can be done. Emails can be altered. Well, then also IP TV could be altered, or something. IP radio could be altered. Internet radio. I think this wouldn't be much of a big hassle. And the problem is, who would notice it? I'm not talking about a 12-year-old kid altering a TV broadcast with their laptop camera. I'm talking about state intervention. Let's say some country that does not like your country does this on a massive scale. They have the resources to do so. They have the resources to rebuild the entire TV studio. Let's say I'm some adversary country of a major superpower in the world. I have at least enough money to build a TV set and hire some actors that look similar to normal TV hosts over there. I just swap out the video signal in the IPTV feed, and now I control the opinion of millions of people, or at least hundreds of thousands of people, without them even noticing. Because, well, who actually goes out and talks to their neighbor about what they just saw on TV? I can't remember the last time I did it, at least. And well, that's the problems we are facing right now, and that's why I think we need to get back to like real physical security, because we can't really trace these things in the IP space. You can't really prove that you are not getting the same thing as your neighbor, because, well, those IP packages, they are addressed to you, your IP address, and his IP packages are addressed to his IP packages. The same way you don't know what packages or letters your neighbor gets. You can't really prove if the thing that you get isn't the same as the thing your neighbor gets, especially if they are using a VPN or it's encrypted or something like that. That's the problem we are having today, and that's why I think that we need to get back to at least over-the-air broadcasting. I don't care if it's digital or analog, but there's one thing that's good about analog, and that is that you can't alter it without people like noticing it. Because let's for example say you're having FM or AM. Because when you're having AM, let's say amplitude modulated signals, AM stations, there are only quite a few only left in the European Union where I'm right now, and there are only a few left in the US, and they are getting less and less by the day. But you can't really alter an AM station, because even if you broadcast it on the same frequency over it, you couldn't really drown out an AM station, because those two signals, they only add together. The receiver would receive both of them, so it would be a garbage mess that they would receive. They would instantly notice it. And well, with FM broadcasting it's even worse, because FM receivers have the so-called capture effect. There's a signal, a carrier frequency modulated by, well, the audio frequency, and the receiver, it has the capture effect. It only takes the higher power station. So even if the two waves go out of sync, well, the receiver is going to take the one with the higher amplitude. And well, you're just gonna hear one or the other, or just noise. Yeah, so you would hear it. And also, this is where I really want to get back to it, and where it also comes down to analog television and those things. You can't do it without it being noticed. You can't just take half of the people based on an algorithm and feed them a different signal and like alter their opinion in this way. Yeah, you can't dissect people. If you want to like broadcast over something, you are gonna reach everybody. If everybody listens to the same FM frequency, everybody's gonna get the same signal, everybody's gonna get the same message. There is no dividing this. You can't divide it. Yeah, and let's not talk about denial of service. So denial of service is when I actually like try to shut something down. I can, like, people can do this in the IP space. Just DDoS some server or like try to bring it offline. Okay, it's the same for analog audio transmission, amplitude modulation, frequency modulation. If you just transmit garbage or noise over a station with high enough power, well, nobody's gonna listen to anything anymore. But the thing is, all of this can't be done easily. IP packages, like anybody with a Raspberry Pi with a single board PC taking up 4 watts of power can change massive things in the internet with just the right code, with just the right keys, with just the right knowledge. Well, you can't really do this with analog broadcasting. You can't do this with over-the-air broadcasting. You can't do this with AM, FM, analog television, and even digital television for that matter. Yeah, it's impossible, because, well, to drown out the legitimate broadcast, you need to overpower it. You need to have higher power to drown it out. And well, you aren't gonna get this. Yeah, because, well, for example, I'm here, behind me is Lake Attersee that you saw before, and well, about 80 kilometers from here in this direction, I think, is Linz. It's a major city in Austria, and it's where the main local the radio transmitter is. And the main Austrian radio station, Ö3, is transmitted from there with about 100 kilowatts of power. We're just 80 kilometers away. Yeah, 100 kilowatts from 80 kilometers. It's still quite strong here, the signal. There's quite a good signal here. It's low noise, it's stereo, it's got RDS, all of these things. I know it's really technical, but it's the real signal. And the problem is you can't really overpower it. If you want, at least here, to overpower the signal, you need a transmitter. And to overpower 100 kilowatts from 80 kilometers away, you need one heck of a transmitter. Yeah, we are not talking about 2 watts, we are talking about 20 watts and 200 watts. Yeah, to cover a significant area. So maybe if you want to influence your neighbor, try it. Yeah, it's maybe gonna work. But the thing is, there are authorities and, well, real world signals. I'm not talking about some IP packages. I am talking about real world signals. I'm talking about analog audio broadcasting, so AM and FM radio. I'm talking about analog TV broadcasting and even digital broadcasting, digital audio broadcasting, DAB, or digital television broadcasting, ATSC and DAB-T. All of these are real world signals transmitted with real powers from real transmitters with quite a large power. Yeah, digital television is transmitted with hundreds of kilowatts of powers to cover areas. And well, if you want to drown it out, the legitimate broadcast with something else, first of all, as I said, you're going to reach everybody. And secondly, well, you've got to have a massive transmitter. If you want to drown out the entire coverage area, you need to have a gigantic broadcasting power. That's not something you can do in privacy. You can't do it hidden somewhere. You can't just put a 200-meter tall broadcasting tower somewhere and hide it. That's impossible. And at the end, well, if you want to broadcast, you have to broadcast it. Yeah. If you want to overpower some other signal, you have to broadcast your own signal. You aren't gonna overpower anything without broadcasting something. And when you're broadcasting, yeah, then well, your signal can be located. Normally, it's not hard. You can just, everybody with a radio and radio station being weak, you can just rotate your transmitter to find out roughly where the transmitter is. Or maybe hop into the car, drive into this direction, in the other direction, in that direction, like drive in 4 directions, and you're gonna find out in which way the broadcast is getting more clear. That's where your station is. And well, trust me, if you're overpowering a high power radio station, the authorities are gonna get you instantly, because that's something that isn't gonna happen unnoticed. And well, this is how this all ties together again, because I think we need to get back to a physical layer for security. AI and fake news and all of this have become so good that you can't prove that something is false, that something is altered, that something is fake just by looking at it anymore. You need to trust your broadcaster, and you need to be able to trust the signal you're getting. Yeah, and well, broadcasters can't trust any media anymore. Back in the day, people could just take cell phone recordings, and stations trusted them because, well, it's a real video of something. It looks real. Yeah, stations can't do this anymore. With AI becoming so good as it's right now, they can't do it anymore. They just can't transmit anymore what they themselves filmed, or what at least somebody they trusted filmed themselves. So we are gonna get physical truth, yeah, by somebody taking a camera somewhere, filming it onto physical media, so SD cards, P2 HD cards like the one I'm recording this to right now. They're gonna get transported physically to the station, or sent encrypted, highly encrypted via some secure channel to the station. And they're gonna get fed into a linear signal that's then gonna get broadcasted out as a real linear signal, as an actual physical signal over the air, or into maybe a cable network or something like that. And that's the only thing you can and you will be able to ensure the truth. I could be off completely. Yeah, I just want to say this right here before anybody quotes me in the future about this, if anybody watches this at all. Yeah. I just want to say I can't predict the future, as nobody can, at least right now. The video is recorded in the year 2026. Currently, we cannot predict the future. I don't think that we will ever. But this is where I think we're headed, and I think it might sound extreme. Returning back to analog broadcasting, linear signals, radio and television, it's probably not gonna happen. We're not gonna go back to this. We're not gonna take the hassle of going back to this. We are just gonna stick with whatever we are doing right now, and well, maybe we'll hope for the best, but this is where we are at, and I hope you found this video somewhat like interesting or helpful. And maybe if some of you want to see me again, maybe write me in the comments. I'm gonna read them. If some of you thought my English was atrocious, I just want to add here that I've actually never been to an English-speaking country. I'm from Austria. Yeah, I've never been to the UK. I've never been to the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, or any other place that like literally speaks English. I just learned all of this from school and from watching English-speaking media and listening to English-speaking radio. Yeah, I hope this was interesting. Bye.